What's going on, everyone? Talon here, and welcome back to the Character Lab. Alright, so today we're going to be looking at Venom. So let's go ahead and get Venom loaded up in the lab here so we can start taking a look at him. Okay, so there we go. We got Venom loaded up. His real name is Eddie Brock. He is 6'3", weighs 260 pounds, and his abilities when the alien symbiote is being worn is it grants him superhuman strength, speed, and agility, the ability to cling to most surfaces, shoot organic webbing, has regeneration, and limited camouflage and shape-shifting capabilities. Okay, so now that we know a little bit about Venom here, let's go ahead and take a look at my Venom in-game. Okay, so here's my Venom. So let's take a look at him real fast. Alright, so his gears, we have all physical or all attack here. We have all defense, we got some HP, and then we got some skill cooldown. So nothing too different there. And then his gear, we have a immunity to snare, recovery with an HP on it. I kind of just threw on a random obelisk on him, so definitely not going to be an ideal obelisk. I must say it is pretty nice though to have that heal. Because Venom does have pretty low survivability, so he definitely needs something to increase his survivability, either a invincibility obelisk or kind of, I guess, something like this with recovery and a heal, but ideally, of course, you'd like to have a probably 6 or 5-star obelisk so that you have higher recovery rates and a better heal, because 5% is pretty low and it is below 30% health. You can get that to below 40 and 50% health would be a lot better, but that's at the 6-star obelisk. So, like I said, I haven't really worked on Venom too much, so I'm not really giving him the best stuff to make him as good as possible. So definitely want to go with survivability though here, but also his damage is pretty low, so you do have to do something about that as well. For his ISO 8, I decided to have Power the Angry Hulk. Well, actually, I guess I should say it was the first one that I actually rolled for him for an ISO 8, so I just kept it. But it definitely does help because his damage is quite low, so it was nice to have a damage ISO 8 set here. Definitely could go with something else like drastic density enhancement would be nice to get an HP shield. Maybe even Stark's backing or I Am Also Groot if you have an obelisk similar to mine with recovery and a heal, because then it could synergize pretty well and that could help with his survivability as well. His skills, there's nothing you really need to level up here, so you don't really have to worry about upgrading his skills that much. I just have him at level 3 just because I was messing around with him when I had first got him to 6 stars. And let's see, and also his tier 2, it does give him a really good bump in damage, so that is nice, because 52% and 45%, those are really big numbers, so it's really going to actually increase his damage quite noticeably. But even with this tier 2, I still don't see him having high enough damage output to really justify tier 2ing him. I mean, of course, if you like Venom, then you can tier 2 him just to have him, but I don't think he's going to be super useful in game modes just getting him to tier 2. The all speed is definitely nice as well, because he is quite slow. And then the ignore target's dodge is also nice as well, because that's 45%, so that's pretty big. So overall, the numbers on his tier 2 are really nice. It's just Venom himself is just not very good right now, so it doesn't really help even with these high numbers. So now let's go ahead and take a look at his details here. Alright, so as you can see, it's all pretty low here. I have 35% skill cooldown, so it could be a little higher. His ignore defense is only 18%, so definitely want that to be higher as well. His ignore dodge is at 10% just because of his ability here, the symbiote, which gives ignore dodge by 10%. So that's nice. His dodge is pretty low itself, 18.5%. So definitely want to build him towards probably survivability is going to be the best way. But as I have him right now, it's kind of a hybrid. I have a little bit of a damage boost from the ISO 8 set, and then I have some survivability from his custom gear. Alright, so that was a quick look at how I have Venom built up, so let's see how he does in these following tests. Alright, so here we are at Shadowland. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here at the Floor 1 Speed Rally mode. So this will be perfect for Venom. So we're going to go ahead and use Hulk's leadership. So we're going to get that physical attack boost. And then we have Red Hulk for the team up for a little more attack as well, because Venom definitely needs the extra DPS. So let's go ahead and get in here. Alright, there we go. So now we're going to go ahead switch to Venom. So as you can see, Venom does have really good crowd control, because pretty much all of his skills can crowd control. So he has his first skill, which can do a guard break, which is nice. We have his second skill, which is a lot of multi-hits, so that also does a guard break. His third skill, again, multi-hits. And then we have his fourth skill that gets the fear. And then the fifth skill that kind of just draws them in and does a nice stun for you. So pretty much all of his skills are good at crowd controlling. It's just really hard to keep them together is the only issue here. So that's why I have to keep switching, because as you can see, Venom cannot take a hit. He pretty much gets hit like once or twice and he is already almost dead. So I have to keep switching out to get him healed up a little bit, and then we switch back in, pretty much rotate through his skills, and if we're lucky enough to get one off of cooldown before I have to switch, then we can try the rotation again. But as you can see, it's taking quite a long time just because I have to keep switching to keep Venom alive. So definitely Invincibility Obelisk would help out quite a bit here. The healing that I do get from my Obelisk is still quite nice on Venom, but since he just takes damage so fast, the Invincibility would be more beneficial than this heal that I get. Alright, let's skip to the end here. So get to the very end. So as you can see, there was enough time, so he was able to do it, but it was quite difficult. So definitely not going to be a main character you want to use here. Definitely going to be more of a secondary character, or a character that you're going to switch to. So now let's go ahead and look at the Rumble. So we're going to go ahead and try him out in the Floor 2 Rumble, where we're going to have the Black Widow stage. We're going to give him Deathlock's leadership, and then I'm just throwing in Hulkling because I don't want to throw in any overpowered characters, because I want to see mainly how Venom's doing. So for these tests, it's going to be all about Venom, so I don't want to have any of the other characters doing like most of the DPS or a lot of the crowd controlling. I want to see mainly Venom. So this definitely would be a lot easier if you brought in, say, a heavy hitting character with Venom or something like that, because as you can see, Venom is really good at crowd controlling multiple characters. The issue is he just doesn't have enough DPS, and he can't keep them fully crowd controlled so that he doesn't get hit at all. If he was able to keep them all like in a corner or something, then definitely he should be able to do it on his own, but as you can see, they keep escaping, or he's not able to get all of them grouped together at once. So it makes it more difficult for Venom to be able to do this on his own. But as you can see, if we go back here, they're all pretty close to dying, except for, of course, Black Widow that just came in. So Venom is actually still pretty good at doing the Rumble. Definitely going to be a lot better than for the rally modes, just because you can throw in your strong character or your high DPS character, and then if you have Venom as one of your support characters, he can really help your main character survive, because he's really good at crowd controlling, stunning, and especially if you're attacking the same enemy as him, you can pretty much keep them under control the whole time. So that's going to be the main floors that you probably would look at using Venom on. There is one other that I probably mention, is also the Destroyer boss mode. Venom is pretty good there as well as a support character, because again, because of his crowd control, you can switch to him and get that little bit of DPS in, because you can pretty much do his full skill rotation and then switch back to your main DPS character. But again, he still has the problem of keeping them fully crowd controlled so that they don't hit him, because pretty much he is just a really squishy character right now, so it's not very easy to keep him alive is the main issue, because you can get enough DPS with him between cards and leadership that you can overcome his naturally low DPS. Alright, so that was a look at him in Shadowland, so now let's go ahead and move on to the next test. Alright, so here we are at World Boss. So we're going to go ahead and use this team here. We have Agent Venom for his leadership, and then Spider-Man for the team-ups between both Agent Venom and Venom. So that'll give Venom the best chance here, because then he'll get all those nice bonuses. And then we're just going to use regular physical attack strikers, and of course we're going to have Ancient One in because we want to take advantage of that heal, because Venom does die quite quickly. Alright, so Venom, you're definitely going to have to play like keep away and just keep dodging all the attacks. You're going to mainly be using your third and second skill to get all of the DPS in, because those are ranged attacks, so that's pretty much his best option here. So let's skip around through here. Of course, that heal circle is coming in quite handy, helping to keep Venom alive so I don't have to switch. Okay, there we go. We're just rotating the third and second skill pretty much, and you can throw in the fourth skill if you think you have enough time, because it does animate quite quickly, but the fifth skill takes quite a while to animate. So as you saw right there, I mainly only use the fifth skill when he is throwing those blue orbs, because that gives you the most time to use the attack. So let's skip on through here. So it's quite a slow battle just because his DPS is so low that you can't keep alternating through all of his attacks, because you have to be really mindful about dodging all of Thanos' attacks. So you just need to keep attacking from a distance. Okay. So getting pretty close here. So that is pretty nice that from a distance, while he's doing that ground pound, you can actually use his fifth skill, because it does have enough range to make it so Venom doesn't walk into the blast area, or the range of the attack. And what's really nice is, as you can see, Venom is able to outrun the meteors, so that was actually quite a surprise to me. I didn't really think he would be able to, but I'm very happy that he is able to, because then I don't have to switch every time I see Thanos enter the meteors, because Venom doesn't have any iframe, so he's not able to knock Thanos out of that skill at all. So as you can see, you pretty much just run around. I had to switch right there because those lasers would have one-shotted me, and then just keep using ranged attacks. There we go, getting really close now. Alright, so right here, I thought I was going to be able to finish him off. I was trying to get that first skill in to get that last hit in, but he went into the meteors too fast and was able to kill Venom, so I had to finish it off with Agent Venom there. But that was pretty much a Venom solo. It did take the whole time though. He only had 4 seconds left to spare, so as you can see, his DPS is quite low, and his survivability, you can't get hit with him. I mean, if you have an invincibility obelisk, it would be a lot easier than what I showed here, because all I had was a heal on my obelisk, and it wasn't even that great of a heal, but it was very noticeable to me actually when I was recording these attempts to beat Thanos with Venom, that it was helping to keep him alive quite a bit. So any kind of survivability really helps Venom out. So there we go, that's World Boss. He's definitely not going to be a main option for World Boss, but he is capable of at least beating Thanos. The other World Bosses are probably going to be a little trickier, because Thanos' attacks, I think, in my opinion, are a lot easier to dodge than the other World Bosses' attacks, so there is that. The only thing is Thanos takes a little longer to kill than the other World Bosses, so Venom should have an easier time clearing them within the 5 minutes. So that was a look at World Boss here, so let's move on to the next test. Okay, so here we have Alliance Conquest. So I went ahead and chose this team here. I didn't have too many easy options to try Venom out on this particular conquest. So this was the one I ended up deciding to use, just because I feel like the team has the least amount of chance of like stunning, or of course there's no Doctor Strange, so no time freezing Venom, so I could kind of see Venom's skills that he uses during the battle. And of course I'm using Luke Cage here just because I need Venom to survive, because I'm pretty sure he would get one-shotted by any tier 2 just because I have him at tier 1, and because he does not have the best survivability. So I'm going to go ahead and use this team here to hopefully give him the best chance of being able to survive and use some of his skills. So let's skip through here, Yeah, there we go. Let's get to the beginning. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so there goes Venom. As you can see, puts his hands in the ground, lunges back, and uses his first skill. And then he goes right into a second skill. As you can see, he does the kind of roar and just shoots the Venom blast straight out from his chest. He doesn't use the third because they weren't the seeking ones. And then he goes right back into his first skill again. And then as you can see, he's doing the roar again and shooting the second skill out. So it kind of looks like he's switching between his first and second skill here in this particular fight. Because there he goes again into the first skill. The first skill is pretty good at guard breaking or stunning the enemy, knocking them out of a skill. I have noticed that. And of course the second skill is pretty good at doing that as well if the opponent doesn't have a guard break immunity obelisk. So it can be useful skills for him to use. Of course I would prefer if he used his fourth or fifth skill. And there we go, later on in the fight he was finally used his fourth skill, so he does get around to rotating through his skills. It's just, it takes him a little longer in the fights to start using his fear and fifth skill for the stun as well. So overall, I mean, he's not going to be a main character that you're going to want to build up and use in Alliance Conquest, but he is useful in Alliance Conquest just because he can crowd control them. So if you have a way to keep him alive, or if you have your Venom with an invincibility obelisk, he can probably survive long enough to start CCing the enemy, which will give your other heroes a chance to finish the job. But he does do enough damage in these particular types of game modes that it is noticeable. Of course, if you're doing him against all tier 2s, it will take him a lot longer to be able to finish them off. But he's still a viable option just for his crowd control. But you just need a way to keep him alive is the only issue. So overall, I would consider him a support character and not a character that you probably want to build up specifically for Alliance Conquest. Alright, so now that we've taken a look at that, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Alright, so that was a look at Venom in our character lab here. He's definitely not going to be one of the first characters that you would want to rank up. You definitely need to get a good foundation before you want to work on Venom. He can be useful in like Shadowlands as a support character just because of his good crowd control abilities, but he just dies too fast and he just doesn't have enough DPS to make him really viable in any game mode right now. If he gets any kind of rework, I can see him being quite powerful just because of the stuns and fears and just overall crowd control that he possesses with his current skills. So he can definitely become a really good character. It just needs a little boost in, well, a big boost in survivability and damage to get there. So overall, not going to be one of the recommended first characters you get, of course, but once you have a nicely built roster, since he is farmable in story mode, it could be useful for you to build up for Shadowlands just as a support character for a Rumble mode, or as I personally use him, I use him in the Destroyer boss mode quite often for Shadowlands. Of course, he's not my main character, he's one that I switch to, but he is quite useful in stalling out the enemies so that I can heal up my main DPS character. So he does have some uses, so I'm not going to say he's completely useless and not worth investing in at all, just because he is easily obtainable. So that's going to be my thoughts on Venom here. Hopefully that helped you in deciding if you want to look more into Venom, if you've already invested in him, or you're trying to figure out where to maybe use him. Hopefully this helped you out in that. So that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.